Right off this episode is the 19th episode of the 34th season of The Simpsons. I didn't mind this episode, I didn't love it, but it's never going to be one of my favourites. It's directed by Matthew Nastuk and deals with this new charity, the Lisa M. Simpson Foundation, that Lisa and Marge have started. And this is because Marge has a very clever way of cleaning clothes. I won't go into too much detail, but basically it involves shaking the clothes in a bag. And they realise that they can help people who don't have access to washing machines, with focus, of course, on homeless or houseless individuals. And they decide that if they create this as a charity, they can help more people. However, Marge kind of latches on to the fact that everything can be colossal when they're a registered charity, and they get a headquarters, and things keep getting bigger and better from Marge's perspective as she lets things go to her head, but it means they're getting further and further away from the people they were meant to be helping. And the message is very clear: don't lose sight of what your aim is. And I think I speak for many people when I say that we're very wary of donating to large charities. I'm definitely of the mind that where possible, I'd rather cut out the middleman. If I can do something to help, for example, a houseless individual, I'd rather help them directly than donate to charity, because you never know where that money is going. And I'm sure most charities are honourable and, every penny, aside from whatever they need for promotions and things, goes straight to the people intended. But as we know, that's not always the case, and people at the top of the chain can pocket a lot of that money. And this is what this is kind of saying, that if you are at the top of the chain, as Marge is, as the CEO, co-CEO, you can lose sight of what's really important and just focus on the glitz and the glamour in these charity events and raising awareness. But raising awareness is pointless if you're not doing anything with it. You can raise awareness for the charity's name and get funding and pump that funding into creating giant, shiny headquarters. But if it doesn't actually help anybody that the charity is meant to be helping, not only what's the point, but it can also be damaging, as we see in this episode. But I won't explain exactly the intricacies of the narrative there, or why it causes problems for some people. But I really enjoyed that aspect of it, the messages. I'm very passionate, particularly about charities for homelessness or houselessness. So I found that there was a very strong emotional level for this episode. And if you too are also, very passionate about helping people who are houseless and wanting to support those charities, but being very wary of where your money might be going, then I think this episode will speak to you on quite a few levels. I'll also say Mr. Burns gives a speech. I won't say what the speech is or how it comes about, but he made so many good points. The good points are the opposite of what he was saying, which will make sense when you hear it. But he made some very valid points, but with the opposite intention. And I think it's a very powerful episode. I don't think it's going to be for everybody, but I think that if it is your kind of episode, you're going to love it. I personally did. It's very uncomfortable to watch because, as I said, it does feel quite realistic, as we know a lot of charities. Well, I say a lot of charities, I'll say some charities don't necessarily give all of the donations, or as many of the donations as they could, to the people in need or the animals in need or whoever it is that you're helping. But let's hope that those charities are few and far between. But either way, this episode helps to raise awareness of the fact that you can very quickly lose sight of what's important, and that it's really important to not do that. And that if you set out to help people, you need to keep that focus rather than losing yourself in what comes across as the glitz and glam of being a co-CEO. So definitely, I think, a very powerful episode. I don't think it'll be for everybody, but personally, I really enjoyed it. I thought that right off this episode was actually pretty good.